Well, you've probably seen the headlines already. Boris Johnson and his government saying they're taking back control of illegal migration, a plan to fly channel migrants out to Rwanda to have their claims processed. Now, as I go through all of this, just bear in mind, first of all, that the scale of illegal migration across from France on small boats, despite the huge amounts of money the UK has thrown at the French authorities, this has continued to surge this year. I believe yesterday it was around another 600 people coming across in a single day. The total number of arrivals now more than 5,000. Of course, we saw 28,000 people come across via this route last year. We're on course this year for that number to be far, far higher. And so you have this situation now with the government under huge pressure, under huge criticism, and I know including from many of you who watch my channel, many of you who voted Conservative, who simply don't think it's credible for the government to say, well, we can't do anything about this, now have a plan for male migrants who cross the channel on small boats to be sent to Rwanda. Now, one of the things that you'll see some mainstream media, lefty media, totally ignore in this story is British public opinion, something, of course, I'm always very keen to highlight. And what it shows in this YouGov poll from November of last year is that when you ask the British people whether they would support sending people who apply for asylum in the UK to another country while their application is processed, you see there more Brits support than oppose. Close to a majority there support, 47% of the country versus 33%. Only a third of the country opposes. 70% of Conservative voters are in favour of this. 70% of Leave voters, of Brexiteers, are in favour of this. So I know you'll see, as I said, some media and say that this is massively controversial, etc. Well, actual fact, only a third of the country opposes it. Many more Brits support such a move than oppose. In terms of what Boris Johnson had to say today, here he is talking about this plan.
Is that we cannot sustain a parallel illegal system. Our compassion may be infinite, but our capacity to help people is not. We can't ask the British taxpayer to write a blank cheque to cover the costs of anyone who might want to come and live here. Uncontrolled immigration creates unmanageable demands on our NHS and on our welfare state. It overstretches our local schools, our housing and public transport, and creates unsustainable pressure to build on precious green spaces. Nor is it fair on those who are seeking to come here legally if others can bypass the system. It's a striking fact that around 7 out of 10 of those arriving in small boats last year were men under 40, paying people smugglers to queue jump and taking up our capacity to help genuine women and child refugees. This is particularly perverse as those attempting crossings are not directly fleeing imminent peril, as is the intended purpose of the asylum system. They've passed through manifestly safe countries, including many in Europe, where they could and should have claimed asylum. It is this rank unfairness of a system that can be exploited by gangs which risks eroding public support for the whole concept of asylum. The British people voted several times to control our borders, not to close them, but to control them. So just as Brexit allowed us to take back control of legal immigration by replacing free movement with our points-based system, we're also taking back control of illegal immigration.
Now let's not forget this has been tried and tested. Australia used this approach. You saw Tony Abbott, the then PM, introduce the policy in 2013. Migrant boat arrivals peaked at 20k. They went down to 160 people, and then it went to none by 2015. And of course, you have the absolutely astronomical cost now. £3.5 million a day now to accommodate 25,000 people in hotels. And of course, Labour have come out and criticised this. The problem Labour have got, of course, is what is their solution? They haven't got one. And in actual fact, everyone knows if we continue to not take action, this dangerous situation is only going to get worse. Patrick O'Flynn addressing some of the Labour whinging on this by saying Labour ignoring the deterrent impact of offshoring, saying hundreds of thousands were deterred from coming as a result, saving the Australians a fortune. Look at the exponential growth of channel hopping. The UK needs a deterrent. And Ipswich MP Tom Hunt there saying this is very welcome news, saying he's long felt offshore processing is the only truly effective way of tackling the channel crossings issue, opens up a clear dividing line between the politicians who truly want us to control our borders and those who don't. And look, I'm not saying this alone is going to solve this. Indeed, ultimately, I think the government are going to need to seriously look at leaving the ECHR as well, as Theresa May, of course, famously talked about when she was Home Secretary. But the fact is, this is something I think will serve as a deterrent to stop this crisis. And those who oppose it need to come up with a serious plan as to what they would do. I mean, I've said it myself that I would be revoking French fishing licences. We've seen the French authorities completely fail to stop this madness. I would have actually embarrassed the Macron government in the run-up to the election by taking boats back to France. But the fact is, this is a measure that I think will have a great public support.
And today, our approach as two outward-looking countries has led to the signing of a new international partnership, which is a world first. It is a migration and economic development partnership with the country of Rwanda and the UK. This will see some of those arriving illegally in the UK, such as those crossing the Channel in dangerous small boats, relocated to Rwanda to resettle and to rebuild their lives in the way in which the Minister has just outlined. More than 28,000 migrants crossed the Channel last year by small boat in very dangerous and perilous conditions. The UK asylum system is collapsing under a combination of real humanitarian crises and evil people smugglers profiteering by exploiting the system for their own gains. Criminals are exploiting the hopes and fears of migrants, pushing them to making dangerous journeys to the UK with fictitious and false promises that they can settle in the UK if they make it. And this has devastating consequences for the countless men, women and children who have tragically lost their lives or loved ones on perilous journeys. It is also deeply unfair because it advantages those with the means to pay smugglers over the vulnerable who cannot. Global systems and conventions have failed to address this global crisis, and the world has changed, and renewed global leadership is required to find new innovative solutions to this growing problem. Today, the United Kingdom and Rwanda have signed a joint new migration and economic development partnership to put an end to this deadly trade in people smuggling. This is part of the United Kingdom's new plan for immigration to control our borders, protect our communities, stop dangerous illegal migration, help the world's most desperate people, and welcome international talents to the UK. It is the biggest overhaul of our immigration system in decades, underpinned by a Nationality and Borders Bill, which will soon become law.
And those who oppose it ultimately need to explain what they would do to stop this dangerous situation of illegal migration across from France on small boats from getting even worse. Let me know what you make of this announcement from the government, guys. Do you support it? Are you against it? Let me know in the comments below. As ever, I'll keep bringing you all the very latest, so please do whack this video a quick thumbs up. And of course, as ever, thanks for watching.